discussed about the component hierarchy and custom events, how to deal with them, how we manage and work with the custom events. Now, after understanding the custom events, how to deal with them, and work with the components. Today we will go into another concept, that is how we can use the Angular built-in components. That means we have a concept of Angular material. Angular material. Actually, the concept of Angular material is technically Angular material. It is a component library, components library for Angular. It is components library for Angular. So you can simply say that it is a components library for Angular actually. So that means you can say that material is same like we have Bootstrap templates with the jQuery and all. So that means you are working with some Angular applications, and you saw that in Angular application we were using a lot of Bootstrap, and usually Bootstrap we used CSS classes. Not only just CSS classes, actually Bootstrap provides some jQuery also. We can use a combination of Bootstrap, jQuery and CSS. Actually, we can use combination of jQuery and CSS. But when you are integrating with Angular, then it is a little bit contradictory, because your Angular is not expecting any JavaScript jQuery directly, but your Bootstrap is using jQuery and JavaScript directly. That is the reason performance issues will come. So Google Angular team developed a material library which is similar to Bootstrap templates. So material, Angular material actually. Angular material is Angular material is designed by Google Angular team. It is designed by Google Angular team. For better performance in Angular. Actually, material is similar to Bootstrap with a set of templates providing a rich support of CSS and jQuery. With support of CSS and jQuery, it is similar to Bootstrap with a set of templates providing them. That means Angular provides predefined components now. Predefined components which you can inject and use in your Angular application. So it reduces the effort and improves the performance of your application actually. So it provides several predefined components. Angular materials will provide predefined components. How to implement and how to use Angular materials for our project to create a better environment for our application. It saves the time because we don't need to design everything. So it will provide access to predefined components and makes the development process fast. So how we have to configure and how we need to define. Let's see step by step. Actually, so we have to first set up Angular material for your project. So you have to set up Angular material for your project. How to set up Angular material for the project? What we have to do is, so you have to open your project app folder in terminal. Open your app project in terminal. Then what we have to do is we have to run a command, run the following command. We have to run the command, and the command is, so we need to define ng add @angular/material. We have to add this Angular material. Actually, lot of work will be there. Means lot of options, lot of work will be there. So I given you the first level. That means just initially how we can configure Angular/material. So this will install Angular material library for your project. So we will see how to use this library and how do we work with that library. That is the basic material library that comes here. So we will see how to use this library and work with this library. So first what we need to do is, it's a very lengthy process. Step by step we have to understand and we have to use this specifically step by step, because a lot of options will be there. We need to know about it. So let's see what are the options. That means step by step, what are the options and how they actually work. First point is, generally, once you set up the environment, let's open the terminal. I will open the project app folder in the integrated terminal, and we need to run the command. So we need to run this command. Let's open the command ng. So, and we need to add Angular material. So we are adding @Angular/material. ng add Angular material. That is what we need to define. Material. So once, so it is installed, hit enter, Angular material is installed. And yeah. Latest version of Angular material is 10. That means you are going to use Angular 10 material, which is very latest of Angular. It will install the latest version of Angular actually. Right. So what is the specialty of this material is actually, so it provides modern UI components that work across the web, mobile, and desktop. So we can design, and performance is more better. That means performance of application will improve. So with the material components, so it will improve with material components, and because it is fully tested for modern browsers. It is fully tested for modern browsers. Across all browsers, it can work. So that is specially designed for Angular. That is the reason it is good. Actually, it is good. Yeah. So first step, once you install Angular, this will install the Angular material library for your project. That means it will add following components into your project. Yeah. What are the components for your project? Actually, it will add the components. One is Angular material component. So second one is it will add Angular material component, and the second one is component development kit. So it is called CDK. It will install CDK also for you, component development kit, and it will also install. So it will also install Angular animations also. So it will add following components into your project: Angular material, component development kit, and Angular animations. Material is actually managed by these three things. Okay. After that, one more point is, so it will ask for following questions while installing. It will ask for following questions while installing. It will ask some important questions. What are the questions? You see, I started installing. You can see first question, it is asking, choose the default theme. It is asking choose the default theme. So that is the first one. Choose a built-in theme and use arrow keys. Actually, here, what theme you want to use? Just like if you know Bootstrap has ready-made themes. Every theme have a different color for buttons, different color for boxes, different color for divs, spans, like that, tables. Just like your mobile have some themes, according to the theme, it will apply the effects. I will choose indigo pink. I want that default theme. So I'm using indigo pink. Any theme you can select. They have given different themes. I will select indigo pink. Okay. Next, it is asking, set a global Angular material typography styles. So typography styles are nothing but, so do you want to add special fonts? Then you have to select yes. That means typography actually comprises of set of fonts specially designed for Angular material. So better use them. Otherwise, several components will not have the exact behavior what you are expecting for, technically what you are expecting for. So that is what you are expecting for. That's the reason allow. Okay, say yes, fine. It is asking, do you want to set up browser animations for material? So another question is asked, Yes, we need it because the ready-made components that we are designing, those ready-made components usually, have some animations, and it is better to have those animations also. That means here also you need to select yes. Otherwise, some effects will be missing. Okay. Now it is installing everything. It is installing everything. So what are the extra configurations performed when you install materials? What will happen is, so here after installing material library for project. So what will happen after installing material library for project? What will happen? Actually, so the first point after installing that, what will happen is, first point is it will add project dependencies into package.json. Add project dependencies to project to package.json. It will add the project dependencies to package.json. You can choose any color or you can create your own also. You can choose your own colors or you can choose your own. You can create your own theme file and you can use that. Okay. It's not that you have to use a pre-built theme. Pre-built theme just effects. You can create your own theme file and you can use it. But for that, first you should know what effects will be there for the themes. That's the reason you can see it says you can use a custom theme also, right? Yeah. And what will happen now is it will add the project dependencies. So that is what the main point I explained and came here. Difference between Bootstrap and Material. I have explained nothing about these two differences. I explained few points about Bootstrap and Material. Bobby, right? You missed that pointer. What is the difference I explained between Bootstrap and Material? Without explaining the difference between them, I haven't came here, right? I explained the difference and came into materials. So you might have missed that point, right? Material, why we are using Material, not Bootstrap? Because it is more compatible and designed for Angular, right? Right. So technically, what will happen is after installing, so add dependencies to the project package JSON, and it will add the font called Roboto font to your index.html page. A special font is added to your, means what changes will happen. And not only that, it will add actually material design icon font, material design icon font to your index.html. The specialty of this is just like Font Awesome. We have Font Awesome, so we have a special design, material design icon font. Icon font is special, same like Font Awesome. That means it is similar to Font Awesome. Similar to Font Awesome. So it is similar to Font Awesome. That is also added, and it will add few global styles, global CSS styles. So global CSS styles it will add into you have styles.css, some CSS it will add. So it will set some margins, it will set some default fonts, it will apply all this. These are all the changes it will do once it is installed successfully. Currently, everything is installed successfully. You observe here, app module is updated, Angular JSON is updated, index HTML is updated, style.css is updated. Why app module is updated? Because it will add the new libraries and modules for CDK and for Angular animations, browser animations like that. Angular JSON is updated because packages related version details will be in Angular JSON. Index HTML is updated. You can see in index HTML page, it has added some new fonts. You can see some new fonts are there. So some new fonts are added, icon related fonts, and yeah, you will learn about different types of styles. There will be no, so we will see. If you know about SCSS, there is a different approach. You can use both combination, no problem. In one application, you can use both combination because already we know that any technology is not complete, right? Even Angular material don't have a solution for everything. It have only few components which are regularly used, but others we have to borrow from third party. Even Bootstrap Angular material also not enough for several real world requirements. That's the reason, if you remember, I showed you Telerik, like third parties, right? You can use combination of both because even Angular material is incomplete. It is not having complete set of components that you need for your type of application. That's the reason you have to depend on not only both, you have to depend on several third parties also. Several third parties, right? Yeah. So this is the basic configuration, right? Basic configuration. So now we have seen how we can configure it. And you observe one more, style.css. In style.css, some changes happened. HTML, body height, body margin, font family, some Roboto, the font family, everything is applied. And we want to link our themes. We have several themes. You can apply some themes into this. That means you see, by default, you selected one theme. You want, you can choose multiple themes also. You can choose multiple themes also. Bootstrap will not provide any captcha, right? You have to get it from third parties. Captchas, biometrics, like things. Even Bootstrap also doesn't provide any captcha, and even this material also will not provide any captcha. Those are all third-party services, right? These are not services, these are components. First, you need to understand difference between components and services. Captcha is not a component, is a service. Angular material is a component library, not a service library. Understood? Component contains a design and a specific templated functionality, right? You will understand what is a service in the next level. Captcha is not a component. First, you should know that it is not a component. It is a service, okay? Right. So fine, we have installed Angular material. After installing Angular material, so next step, what you can do is, so you set up a CSS theme for using Angular material. So material, set up a CSS theme for using Angular material. For that, what you have to do is go to styles.css and we have to import. So a theme, actually the themes we have to import here. So I'm already using Bootstrap and I will leave it Bootstrap. I have to import. And we have to import from, actually we have to import from @. So we have Angular /material. In material, you will have a pre-built themes, pre-built -themes. That is the folder actually. In that you will find some CSS. Suppose I have deep purple ember.css. So that is one theme. You can have a lot of themes. You can see here where you can observe this is actually we know the path regularly. That's the reason we are typing it. Otherwise, you have to go to node modules. In the node modules, you have @Angular. In the Angular, you will have material. You will see material. In material, you will find a pre-built themes folder. And in the pre-built themes folder, you have several themes ready-made available. Deep purple ember.cs, indigo pink.cs. Currently, I am purple ember.css. It is present in pre-built themes. Pre-built themes is present in material. It is present in material. Material is present in @Angular. From there, we are importing and we are using it. So that is ready. So this is what you need to add extra into your folder. That means into the style CSS file, you need to add this. So that is how we can set a CSS theme for material. So we installed material. It asked some questions. We selected the options for that. And it has made these changes. We don't need to worry about them. It will implicitly do that. And in the styles, we enable a theme. Now, Angular material is ready to use. You can start working with Angular material. You can use Angular material library in your project now. That means the project is ready to use. And you can see that generally in app module.ts, you can observe app module.ts. Yeah, browser animation module is imported. It is the module which is required for using materials. Now material have a lot of components just like Bootstrap. For every component, the relative library we have to install and use. I will show you. Just like Bootstrap has a lot of components, material also have a lot of components. The official website of material is material.angular.io. This is the official website because every few versions changes will happen. You need to get in touch with every change every time from this location. So you have to come here. You have to see what changes are happening, what new things are coming in, because materials in old versions is different, in the current version is different. Currently, we are using Angular 10 material. So that means some new changes happened in Angular 10 material when compared to Angular 9 materials. So materials are like Bootstrap based. That's the reason compatibility issues will not be less. It will be very less. So technically, so you see there is components library, CDK library. At the top, I click components library. It will show all the components that are available. These are all components. Just like you have seen, I showed you Telerik and you see Bootstrap. Similar to that, you have so many components you can see. These are all the components, different categories of components. It's just like learning and working with Bootstrap. And it's not like anybody will teach you how to use all the components in material, right? So if we show 1, 2 components, how to implement them, all others in the same way, you have to try by yourself. Nobody in the world will teach you about all the components present in materials anywhere. In any tutorial also, you will not find that, except in this location, this website. Because a developer need to explore and know about that component and use the component. And these are regularly changing, so regularly updating. That's the reason nobody can give a standard process of approach, standard process of using components, and so that you can practice that in the same way every time. In the next versions, changes may happen. That's the reason every time before you use, you have to come and see what changes happened here and what are the new options, features added into this, and we need to implement them. I will show you how to use some components here. We have 2 categories. We have components, we have CDK. We will see some options, how to implement that, right? So once you know how to handle, then you can easily work with all others. By yourself, you can do. I will show that, right? Initially, we will see first. So many options are there. You go to CDK. CDK has a lot of things like accessibility, like bidirectional, like clipboard, like drag and drop, like layout observers, like overlay, platform, scrolling, portal, so many. So this all under the category of CDK, component. So this is a set of behavior primitives for building UI components, right? Behavior related options are there. In components, you will find autocomplete, badge, calendar, like things, right? All these options, pop-ups like dialogues, date pickers. Some of them you will find in your general Bootstrap also, but here they are best compatible with Angular. So better go with these Anglars, right? Because Bootstrap also have a spinner. Here also we have a spinner. Bootstrap have a progress. Here also we have a progress. Bootstrap have autocomplete. Here also we have autocomplete. Bootstrap don't have a date picker. We have to go with jQuery UI. I think many people have heard about jQuery UI, which will provide several components. We have to implement them. So we need a combination of all of them to work with that, right? Let's see some examples, how to implement the process we will see. So in the process, I will show you, once it is enabled, I will show you one option like how we can work with Angular CDK. So how we can deal with Angular CDK. So that is what actually component development kit actually, CDK. Then some components we will see how we can use and work with them. Actually, you saw that technically CDK is so material. So you see the CDK. CDK is a component development kit, is a set of behavior of primitive components actually. How this is going to work, I will show you. Means what are the various options, how to deal with them, we will see that. Now in this, so many options are there. Some examples I will show you how to implement from Angular CDK, how to implement. We will learn 2 things, one CDK and material components. I will show you both of them. So in CDK, one of the popular option is we will see how to use virtual scrolling in Angular. So this is very important option, regularly used and regularly asked also. Actually, virtual scrolling, one of the advantages, it implements so lazy loading of content. It implements lazy loading of content implements lazy loading of content in page. That is one of the advantage of this virtual scrolling actually lazy loading is nothing but lazy loading is a software design pattern. It is a software design pattern that allows to load the components, the modules and lists only when required. Lazy loading is a software design pattern that allows to load the components, modules, and lists only when they are required. So actually, eager loading is opposite to lazy loading. Eager loading loads all the components and modules and lists at the time of application loading. It occupies more memory. So, and the problem is, so it affects the performance. Actually, it affects the performance. That means it loads. What do you think? Which pattern it belongs to? What do you know about behavioral pattern? Behavioral pattern means what? What is behavioral pattern, Ankit Gupta? After so many days, you came to limelight again. You are not there all these days. What is a behavioral pattern? So, what is behavioral pattern means? Behavioral pattern means communication, right? Behavioral pattern means communication pattern. Creational patterns means instantiation. They are related to instantiation. Am I right? Creational patterns are related to instantiation, and behavioral patterns related to communication. Structural patterns are related to entity schemas, means structure, relationship between the objects. That is what actually structural patterns. Now, actually lazy loading, eager loading is nothing but the memory is allocated only when it is required. In that case, what do you think? It is related to the memory is allocated only when it is required. That means it is depending on allocation of memory. Am I right? Allocation of memory means it is related to which pattern? Creational pattern. Understood, right? That means it comes under the creational approach because memory is allocated only when it is required for it. If memory is allocated and object is created even when it is not required, then it is eager loading. It is to be created. Object is created only when it is required. So it is related to instantiation. That means it comes under creational category, right? So actually, this is very big concept. That means especially in single page application. So in single page application. So you have to implement virtual scrolling. So you have to implement virtual scrolling because single page application means, so it loads only the content that is needed for that particular situation. That means, so it can load the contents. It can load the contents only when required. So that is what actually the concept. And so it will add new contents into page. It will add new contents into page without reloading the complete page. That is what actually the ability of this component. That is what actually the ability. So the new details are added without reloading the complete page. That means it uses asynchronous techniques. Yeah, it uses asynchronous techniques. Yeah, so that is the default. Not only Angular, every application will not be lazy loading. Understood? First, you need to understand, Mr. Babu, right? Application Angular will not be lazy loading, default loading. The components in Angular will be lazy loading or loading, right? You don't say that Java is lazy loading or eager loading. That's not a proper question at all. Understood? So lazy loading don't imply with Java, .NET, Angular. That will be a wrong point at all. Lazy loading is for the components in every technology that supports object-oriented programming. Okay. Now don't say which loading Angular uses default. That's like not at all a proper question. Why? Because Angular usually uses lazy loading for its components, not for entire framework architecture. Java uses lazy loading or eager loading. If anybody asks like that, that's not a proper question at all. Understood? So it is not like Angular default lazy loading, right? So Angular can use both loading until or unless you implement. Lazy loading is defined for components. Some components use eager loading, some components use lazy loading according to the behavior of the components. The components that we created all these days, they use what kind of loading? The components that we created all these days, they implement what kind of loading? They are all eager loading. They are not lazy loading, right? So they are all eager loading because all the components are loading into memory even when you are not using them. Understood? Right? All are loaded into memory. You haven't implemented any lazy loading, right? The components that you have designed till now, all are not lazy loading. All are by default eager loading only. Eager loading only. That means you see in app module. So I am using currently only forms module in two-way binding. What does that mean? This module is not loaded, a browser module not loaded. Browser module not loaded, browser module also loaded, right? Animation modules also loaded. That means it is loading everything even when you don't need them actually. That means by default our components, see, it depends on components. By default our components are loading eagerly. We need to load lazily. That is what actually the concept is, right? So that means, what is the advantage of implementing this virtual scrolling? Actually, virtual scrolling allows the user to stay on one page and access all contents and display on one page. So that means virtual scrolling allows the user to stay on one page and access the content and display on one page. So that means user will not be navigated to next page, previous page. That means, so we can avoid pagination. We can avoid pagination. That is what important point is. So that is implemented by using this. And very important is Angular can implement, Angular can implement virtual scrolling. So virtual scrolling. Angular can implement virtual scrolling. It can implement this virtual scrolling. So by using Angular/CDK library, by using Angular CDK library. And that is what virtual scrolling. Virtual scrolling can be implemented by using Angular CDK library. By using CDK library. And the module required for implementing virtual scrolling is we have a module called scrolling module. We have to use scrolling module. We have to implement that scrolling module. First point, what you should know is we need to understand the module. So to implement virtual scrolling, we need scrolling module. Scrolling module is present in this Angular CDK library. So through the CDK library, we can define that. And very important is the directive used to implement virtual scrolling for component in a page is the directive used for virtual scrolling in a component is CDK hyphen virtual hyphen scroll hyphen viewport. That is what actually the directive that is required for implementing virtual scrolling. This is the directive CDK virtual scroll viewport. That is the directive. And actually the directive is used for iterating over an item in virtual scroll. Actually it iterates over items in a collection. It iterates over items in a collection. Technically it will iterate over items in a collection. Generally it will do that. So that means it is similar to ng-for. It is similar to ng-for. It will perform iteration. And it can use all the iteration properties. That means it uses an iterator. So it uses an iterator. That means in this CDK viewport, this is the component. Actually, I will show you here. Actually, what we need is we need an virtual lazy iterator. We need a lazy iterator in a CDK viewport. We need a lazy iterator in CDK viewport, and the lazy iterator CDK viewport. So which is actually CDK virtual for. CDK virtual for. This is an iterator. This is an iterator used for iterating over the items. So we need lazy iterator. We need lazy iterator in CDK viewport, which is virtual for. CDK virtual for. That means syntactically how it works. Syntactically how it works is, so we have to use any iterating item. So we have to write like this. We have to define an asterisk CDK virtuals for. Other options are same. LIT item of collection. This is a iterator which implements virtual scrolling. That means it implements lazy loading. So that means when you have to work with the virtual scrolling, you need this iterator CDK virtual for. Let's see one example how we can handle this. One simple example we will see. Means how we can handle and how we can work with that. One simple point we will see. So just what we are doing now is we are adding a new component, how this entire process works. Our material is ready, everything is ready. ng generate component, scrolling demo. Okay, skip tests. I'm adding a component called scrolling demo. Fine. Okay. And in order to use this scrolling module, we have to go to app-module.ts. In app-module.ts, first we have to import a module. So we have to import, and we have to import from Angular CDK. So this CDK comes with Angular material. We have to import scrolling module. We have to import the scrolling module from CDK. In CDK, we have scrolling because CDK has a lot of things. In that, we have scrolling. In CDK scrolling, you can get this scrolling module. We have to import that module first. So let's see one example first. So that means what we have to do, first step is, so we need to add a new, import. So we have to go to app.module.ts and import. You have to import scrolling module. And you have to make sure that the module is registered. Import and register the scrolling module. You have to make sure that it is imported and registered. First, I will show you the process. So imported and we are registered. So here we are registering the module, scrolling module. Okay, scrolling module is ready. So let's go to scroll demo component. So we have scroll demo component. I will keep it in the startup. Scroll demo component, scrolling demo component, right? Scrolling demo component. Okay. And in index, scrolling demo component. Yeah. Okay. Now let's open this localhost. Scrolling demo is working fine. So it is working fine. Okay. Now let's go to the scrolling demo component, TS. Here we will add some data, some content. We will keep some content here. So let's add some content into this. So into the scrolling demo component, let's add some data. That means we need data which allows us to scroll contents. So I will create products. It's an array. And in that we have defined name. So Samsung TV, okay. Some price, or simply I will just put photo. 2 fields are enough, okay. And here I said assets tv.jpg, fine. So now similarly we have other options. So we have some other options. So copy and paste. So we have, so we have so many products. So make a list of so many things so that we can test scrolling correctly. We can test the scrolling correctly. So that means make sure that there are 15, 20 items there with the different options, right? Actually in the assets, so we have all this content. Okay, so we have, so there is no TV here, earpods or something. Yeah, some more images, because if I keep the same images repeatedly also, it will not be proper in understanding the difference. That's the reason. Better little keep some different set of images here. So these are fine. So that means I'm using some, yeah. So here we are using some TV images, right? UI development, fine. Yeah. So these are some images available. I will copy those images. Few are already copied, so I will copy these images also. So like some TV, okay, some mobile, okay, some options. And let's keep in our assets folder there. Fine. Okay, this is enough light. So let's keep the list here. Okay, this is tv.jpg, some speaker, so some JBL speaker, something. Speaker, okay, some earpods, and here earpods, some mobile, okay, some mobile. Okay, so this is mobile, yeah. So we have show Nike, so here shoe, and Lee boots, something like shoe one, something. And here fashion shirt, so we have shirt, we have some jeans, so we have jeans like this. And after that I will repeat this set again, means just for a set here I will copy and I will repeat that set again. Okay, fine, we have some set of images. So we have some set of images combination defined here now, some. So now I want these contents. So that means I want these contents so to display. So that is the set of images we are having. Because hundreds of items are present, then if I try to show them and display in my page, so then I need to do a lot of scrolling, and all items are loaded. It is not required for that situation actually. So that is the reason we need to implement. So what I'm doing is I'm applying some style here. Let's go to the CSS. I will add some CSS. Example viewport. So viewport. So means the div height and width I will adjust. Example viewport height I will give as 300 pixel height, and width as some 55% width. Okay, giving some border as 1 pixel and some solid and dark cyan, something color. Okay, and margin bottom. So bottom margin some 30 pixel. So that means distance between every component will be some 30 pixels. So that is the option we have defined. Now we need to present it. So we need to configure and present it. So how we can define and how we can present the content here. So let's see. So generally, just we can observe the difference of how to present the content. Go to HTML page, and here we will design a div, and in the div I'm just initially using the bootstrap class container fluid, okay, and I'm adding a div and class as a row, okay. In that I have another div, so the class as col, so 4 is the column, and here we are defining. So we are defining some options, that is heading as normal list. Means I want to just show you the difference, normal list. And here we have an ordered list with have li, and normal list, you know, it uses an ng for let. So item of collection is products. And here I want to display the name. So I want to display the name. So item dot name and photo, all these details. This is a normal list generally. And I will add another div. So the class I will define as col8. Okay, so yeah, in this column we want to define so virtual scrolling. We want to show the virtual scrolling. Normal list is okay. I have to scroll up and down and see the contents here. This is the content here. That is normal scrolling. Let's implement virtual scrolling. To implement the virtual scrolling, so we need a component. That component is CDK virtual scrolling viewport. CDK virtual scrolling viewport. How much width, how much height you want. So width and height I will define with a class. So we have example. So example hyphen, we given the name as example viewport. Example viewport, that is what I given. Example viewport I given. So this is the class, means width and height for this. We adjusted the width and height. Directly you can write here. And item size. So that means item size. So it have item size attribute. Item size how many? Suppose 100 items it can show. That means we are configuring the height actually. It is not limited. It is just height. But already the height is set to 300 pixels. It will not go outside that. Okay. Below this, I need to design a div. This div will use a card. This card should repeat for every item. Earlier we were using ng for. Now we will use CDK virtual for. We will use CDK virtual for. In this CDK virtual for, so we are defining LED item of, so or simply like product of products. I'm defining products. This is a virtual scrolling related iterator. It implements lazy loading implicitly. So then I will put a div. In that we will have a class card body. In the card body, I will just put an image. So image source comes from product dot photo field. Product dot photo field image will come. And width and height I will just give 50. Width and height 50 pixels small. Then another div will have a class as card footer. So in the card footer, I want to display a heading where I want only the product name. Then product dot name. Okay. That is what we have defined there. So we have configured and defined that. Now that's it. Now your virtual scrolling is implemented. Now once go through that and you see the design here, you can see the design here. This is the component and you can see actually currently I can see only two images here. Press go to inspect. In the inspect, observe carefully here. So in the inspect, we are going to the inspect option. And in the inspect, you can see and verify. So this is the call. This is the div. And in that we have virtual scroll items. And you can see currently it is showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. It is showing 5 cards. So depending on height, it is showing 5 cards. That means 5 contents are already loaded. So depending on how much height you defined, right? It is already loading 5, but actually our list contains so many. So our list contains so many. It has loaded only 5 things, but you cannot watch all the 5. Observe carefully. I scroll down, still not updated. Because up to 5 it is already loaded, and scroll down, now 2 others added. You can see 2 more added here. Right side you can observe 2 more divs added here. I am scrolling down, then you can see 2 more divs added now. You can see 2 more divs came. I am scrolling down and you can see 2 more divs added. And scroll down, 2 more divs are continuously adding now. You can scroll down, the divs are adding here. When I scroll up, you can see those divs will be affected. That means those divs will be removed. When I scroll up, then those divs will be added dynamically. It will. That means the new contents are loaded only when you scroll down. Otherwise, they are not loaded actually. You can see others not loaded actually. Only 5 contents are loaded. When you scroll down, the next set keeps loading now. Next steps keep loading. And my scroll bar will be scrolling up and down, right? Depending on how much width you have mentioned. This is what generally you see in Google image search and everywhere. So that means it is not loading, it is automatically implementing. Actually, if we have to implement like this, lot of work is there. So we need to do a lot of work. So, but now it is predefined. It will automatically handle everything for us. So we need to do a lot of programming if we have to implement this type of concept, lazy loading. But now it is a predefined ready-made component. Just import it and use it. So this is an example of implementing lazy loading and virtual scrolling here. This is done with our CDK. So how we can configure and work. Like this, so many CDK components are available. CDK components are available. That is what, if I applied on images, you can apply in table data anywhere. Na? That is the intention. I showed you an ordinary card. You can apply for TR. This is an iterator. Na? This is a general iterator. That means I applied on card. You apply on TR for table rows. That means now rows will be scrolling. Am I right? That means according to the content. You don't need any paginations now. Right? Next page, previous page, anything, you don't need that. Right? Right. So this is a regular question in interviews. Right. Regular question in interviews, because it is very often asked in interviews how you will implement lazy loading and all. These are all predefined components. Right? Yeah, whenever you scroll down, then actually our application is currently having the data hard coded. But if it is server side, what happens? It will get the data from your API and it will use the data from the API. Understood? So that means every time when you scroll down, it will make a request to the API, gets the new data and loads the data from the API. Right? Right. So this is an example of handling virtual scrolling. Right. So I will upload this example. Then tomorrow we will see some more components and how do we work with them. Right. I will show few components. Others you can try by yourself. I will show how to explore them. Then you can try by yourself, because hundreds will be there. If I show 1-2 components, you can explore others by yourself. Okay. So tomorrow we will continue.